Welcome to the Golden Feather. Grab a pint, a plate, and pick your seats. Your host, Vertek and Chibi, are back from their latest adventure.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Golden Feather. Today is the 17th of June, 2022. This is episode 126. I'd do anything for RP, featuring our guest Meatloaf from Meatloaf
What's
Media.
going on?
How are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm excited. Anytime I get to talk about stuff like this, I get excited.
Yeah.
Oh, same here. We're excited to have you. I think
Thank
we had mentioned in the opening chit chat before we started this up. I've been thinking about getting you on for a little while, and then finally today it was like, oh gosh, let's go ahead and reach out like today, because oh no, we need somebody.
Yeah,
So-
it's just the message popped up, and I was like, oh sure, yeah, we could plan it. We have an opening today. Okay, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, see, I try to be a little sneaky when we need somebody. I'm like, so we have an opening today. Otherwise, we have July. Give them an out if today's too short.
It actually worked great.
It's a funny thing that happens. We'll get scheduled ahead like a decent amount, but then randomly there'll be a week where we go, oh shoot, that's right, we don't have anybody for today. We have the next 3 weeks scheduled out, but today we don't have anybody.
Oh no.
Yeah.
But we're really excited to have you though, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And the other part of the we that's excited is the Chibi Brie on that direction from me. How are you
Hello.
today, lovely?
I'm doing well. I'm not wearing a dress that everybody thinks is peach colored. So I have clothing on this week as
Doesn't
opposed
look like a
to
vanishing
last
dress.
week. Yeah. That's what I get for being pale and then wearing a sundress because it was hot. I was like, oh, this is cute, right? And it's got the spaghetti straps, and people are like, JV, are you wearing clothes? I'm like, yes, I'm wearing clothes.
Oh no. Skin tone, huh?
Yeah,
It was basically that, yeah.
I mean, according to the camera, I'm not really this red in real life, I don't think. I look more like Vertek, not so red colored. I think it's just because the
lighting.
the lighting is so far from me now, so I have to try to figure out something new with the lighting to get me back on equal ground with that.
We got her a nice new desk, and now the light is about a half a mile away from her.
Yep.
If I were to take a tape measure, it'd probably, it'd be a good bit. It probably doubled in distance away from her, so it doesn't light her up as well so much.
Yeah.
You need to get a bigger one. We need to put a sun behind your desk. That's what it
Just
is.
the sun.
Yeah.
That's where the globe should go.
Yeah, exactly. So, Sir Meatloaf of Mediaton, tell
Absolutely.
us more about yourself. For those who do not know who you are, who are you? What do you do? What's your shtick?
Yeah, so probably most people, I've been a long time MMORPG player. Before that, I was a long time role player, various systems. There's a ton of them out there now, whether it's D&D or Mutants and Masterminds or some kind of Roll20 or White Wolf series. I've done a lot of it. However, as it pertains to the podcast, I have been a big fan lately of role-playing in video games, like MMORPGs in particular, just because with life, with all the craziness we've been going through, in the world, and then just I've been slammed with family stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's made it impossible to meet up with, your friends in real life to have a role-playing session or hang out, or even try to carve out, a set time once a week on Roll20 or something. So to fill that void, I started role-playing in MMORPGs, and then just looking around, I stumbled onto Ashes of Creation. And the first thing I saw was that 64 archetype table, and my mind just I was like, oh, wait a second. And I had to reread it again. I was like, okay, no, that's totally what I read the first time. I was like, okay, this is wild. you know, and then I read more and more about it, and I just got really excited about it because that's always been my only problem with MMORPGs is I hate it when my character feels like 10,000 other characters. You know, like it's different. It's not different. They're all the same. So I started going through that table and I started like, oh, well, what would a siren be? Oh, well, what would a song stalker or a song warden, or what would this be?
Yeah.
And so I went through all that to like figure out what was up. And
small typo, sorry.
Oh, you're good.
I put meatloaf, but there's a D, so it's meatload.
There are so many great things to do with
I
that.
fixed it.
Right. It's been repaired.
It's been fixed. Good old meatload.
That
But
guy,
yeah, so-
I tell you what.
That meatload guy, that jerk. So I started going through there, and I basically ended up I do where I go through and I like go through like a role play creation session with the lore and the characters and all those different archetypes to just make a bunch of different characters that like you could play in game, or you might see running around the game, just something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, now I actually really am this color, yes, that you are correct.
Leave it to Z. Leave it to Z.
Oh, goodness.
Welcome, Z. Welcome to the chat. Welcome
It does
to
in
the
fact
chat.
sound naughty. Yes. I'm
Never
glad I'm not the
change.
only one.
Ever.
Oh,
change.
goodness.
I'm gonna have to change the name of my YouTube channel.
No.
I feel
Look
like
at
if I
this
change the name to Meatload Media, I'm gonna have to change websites.
Hosted on that Meat Hub.
No.
All right. But yeah. So to date, what's been your favorite race to try to build up? Totally not trying to change the subject, but also trying to
No,
change
you're
the
good.
subject.
You probably should change the subject. So far, honestly, I've really liked the unique takes on the monstrous races, like the Vec and the Rinkai. You know, usually your orcs are your mindless war bands of just violent hungry orcs, and then this one they're more of that feudal Japan feel on one side. They draw a lot of inspiration from feudal Japan, and then the other side, the Vec, you know, you're driving that Mesoamerican like Mayan, Inca kind of feel. So I love the way they've done that, and of course the Tolnar, which I think is like a fan favorite, just because of like everything they're going to be able to be. So I've had a lot of fun with anything to do with the Vec or the Rinkai. However, all of the races have like a really cool flair to them. I like how they're just not your basic fantasy races, your copy and paste from your basic fantasy worlds.
Yeah.
Like the idea of playing Maui the dwarf, not a bad one.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was the one I saw you creating the one for Stew, the Angry Stew?
Oh, that boy, what was his name?
Looking
Hold
through
on, I have
all
them
of
all.
the what was it?
Oh, it
Looking
was
through all the names for like Stew and like different stuff for like the
yes. Somebody had tweeted me. The only thing they tweeted at me was a short, angry ranger who likes to eat stew.
That's right.
So when I was trying to come up with his
through-
name, I was looking up like Polynesian names and stuff to do with stew, and this is the most like I found it. It was Rukau Huhumanu, and I think it means, I'm pretty sure it just means like angry bird and meat stew. It sounds really cool if you don't ask me what it means.
Yeah, just don't ask the meaning behind
Just don't
it.
ask
You're
what it
good. You're
means.
good.
But yeah, so I've had a lot of fun doing
Fantastic.
that. Like I've been trying to do it different ways. I went profession first, where I picked the profession first, just like rolling a dice kind of deal. Because, and the one reason I did that was, I'd love to hear your take on it. I think that there is going to be a huge number of profession first, almost profession only players because of all the complex systems Ashes is putting in around them. So that's why I took that route, like starting with a profession and then making a character that fits it. But what do you guys think about that? You think that there'll be like a large number of those professions only or profession first? Oh, I just log on to take care of my farm.
Honestly, with how in-depth they're talking about making some of the professions, absolutely. Absolutely. There's going to be definitely some people that just log in for that because especially if they're a casual person, they might only have time to do like their quick farming to make this thing, make that thing real quick, fulfill an order somebody put in, put some stuff up for sale, and then grab the stuff that's completed and caravan it to another town, and then that's their evening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know how long that would take, but that could be your whole night.
Chibi is going to be bright red for the rest of the evening.
I said, yeah.
I didn't mean to.
The only thing slightly redder is your shirt.
Mm-hmm. Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
Oh God.
She's at least almost reaching the pink of her seat. Almost. Yeah, sound like Abarat says there. Sounds like resources may be linked to the level of mobs.
Yeah, that's
so
what.
So they may be forced to level adventure classes to get to them. That's possible. That's possible.
Yeah, so that's one thing. So one thing I talked about in one of my videos, I talked about how you would role play or play a profession, and I think those gathering classes, right, are going to be adventurer first gathering classes. Simply because exactly what you just said, what they said in chat. You know, you're going to have to level up your node. You're going to have to fight off the higher level mobs to get to the higher level resources. And then if you're out in the wilds getting high level resources, we all know there's going to be ambushes and bandits and what have you. So I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I think the split is probably going to end up being something along the lines of people who are all about hardcore PvP and PvE are going to be gatherers. That's going to be their profession. That's it, because that's all they're going to have time for, is go out and like chop stuff on their way here or there.
That totally
they're
makes
not going to
sense.
have as much time for all the other stuff. There's going to be the more casual players who are going to take on the more intensive crafting classes. And that's because, you know, they won't have time for a raid tonight, but they could totally knock out a suit of armor or two and maybe hit the auction house and buy some things. Maybe even process some stuff into some other little bits and pieces there, but they don't have time for a raid tonight. Mm-hmm. And then there's going to be the people who are the no-lifers that are going to do all the things they possibly can, and they're probably going to have 3 characters so they can get it all done with. They can be a grandmaster, gatherer, processor, and crafter all in one.
I feel like you're throwing me under the bus there. Okay. I feel like no, because I've been making all these characters. Yeah. I've been making all these characters. Like I'm sitting here going, there is no way I'm going to be able to make half of the characters that I come up with and do anything with them, because they said 45 days of 6-7 hours a day to get to max level.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Please.
It's going to take a little while. Yeah. Please. Half the time. Come on.
My goodness. I mean, and then you don't
what
get
kind
your
of
secondary...
amateur only plays that many hours a day? Jeez.
Rookie numbers. Get them up.
Dedication, man.
This is what are they? Nowadays we're e-gamers, esports players. We're professionals.
Yeah. Actually, Horrendous is kind of is funny. Oh God.
Yeah, I have a comment on that one too. Horrendous.
The Golden Feather will be full of our peers. I was gonna say, actually, if you don't mind, Meatloaf, what would you imagine if Vertek and I were to be transported into Ashes of Creation? Who would our characters be?
Ooh, that's tough. Okay, well, here's first off would be PvE, PvP, or professions.
PvE/profession.
PvE/profession. What about you, Vertek?
That's tough. I know I'm going to be PvE first, but then it's probably going to be caught between PvP and profession. It's going to be a tough call. I will probably be one of those that does full tilt PvE gathering, and then like PvP is just like all the time that I can outside of PvE.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then
I think gathering is going to be the afterthought.
gathering would be your afterthought. Okay, so you're going to be adventuring. You said you'll have, sounds like Chibi will be more professions than you would be. So she said PvE and professions. Professions was kind of on your back burner. So if you're going to be going forward. So the reason I asked that is so if profession's going to be on the back burner for Vertec, that makes me think that he's going to want it to be something while he's out in the field, right? Something he can be like, oh, well, I'm waiting on this mob to respawn. Let me pick a flower or chop a tree or kill a pig or whatever it is. And then you just, after that, it's just like, what do you usually play? Tank, DPS, healer?
Tank's my main all the time. I'll probably create other characters, but yeah, tank is my big one.
Heals here.
Tank and heals. All right, so if I had to go with professions last, it'd be somebody who, this is purely from like a roleplay standpoint, it would be somebody who doesn't, maybe they don't seem as important. If you're on the front line, I could see you. Are you more of a solo player, or you play together with people, Vertec? Like, do you prefer to be by yourself?
I only play by myself when I'm just bored for the evening and I just want to mindlessly go out and gather stuff. And that's basically the only time I like playing solo. Other than that, I like to be with people.
Avarat, thank you.
My goodness, right, so thank you so much. You are so kind, Thank you.
Tank out there with a group of people. So I would either put you, class-wise, I would put you at what I would think would be either up front, leading the group, which in my mind would put you as either a paladin or a knight. Or if you just like to be part of the crew and you don't necessarily want to lead, not that you have to lead as a paladin or a knight, but if you think fantasy world, you kind of think of those guys as your leaders. Yeah, they're usually at the front. If you just want to be part of the crew, I would say either a warden, because that would kind of play into it, because that's a secondary ranger. So that would kind of play into the professions last, like you'd be going through the woods, like picking stuff up or finding what you're finding. But I could probably put you more as a paladin or a knight. Now the race is the hard part, because you could either pick Tolnar and you could totally be a cat girl. Oh wait, no way, you can't do that.
Cat boy.
Cat boy. But yeah, you could go Tolnar, which is just super fun to make. Or if you really want to ride that paladin or knight, I would probably honestly go Renkai, because they have that feudal Japan like samurai Ronin warrior deal. And you could like ride the knight the whole way. But that's really hard, because like I said, I would like to ask so many more questions to get the idea of like what I would say you guys were. And then healer is always good. So we know that if you want to just be a healer, you're going to have to be cleric primary. Because what we do know from other things that have been said or written is that a secondary healer of any kind, with cleric as your augment, is just going to be enough to kind of keep you alive, maybe get rid of debuffs, so you're not really a healer mainstay. Like you can maybe fend off like something in the wild, but you're not going to be able to heal a raid or heal anything like that. So if you're a healer first, obviously you'd have to be cleric first, and then it's just do you double down? Are you like do you want to be the Pope, or do you want to like adventure around? Because of the healer classes, to be honest with you, I've built a high priest, and that's a heal bot. Essentially is what I would guess. But it seems like it'd be a lot of fun to just be like a shaman, especially if you're going to do a lot of your profession second. It just kind of plays into this really cool idea of like being a summoner and a cleric at the same time. It's just hard. It's kind of hard to break out of that mold that WoW built around a shaman. Like, are you just going to bring totems, or are you going to summon like cool, cute little spirit animals? Like, so I'll just go out on a limb and say Chibi would be a cleric first, summoner second, and Vertic, you would be tank first, fighter second.
Okay.
And then you guys get to pick your race. I mean, can't pick for you. I could, but then I'd have to make backstory, and I'm telling you, those videos, I get lost in it. I'm like, as a child, they were brought up by wild, Nobody needs any of that. I just do that to entertain myself.
Oh yeah, definitely. There you guys go. It's a small little snippet of what Meatloaf does in his videos.
I appreciate the hard pronunciation of the F.
I'm trying to squash this thing, okay?
That Meatloaf. Let someone else finish the last letter. Let them put in what they will. But yeah, so what I'm hearing is basically if anybody watching this needs some NPC characters for the D&D campaign, Meatloaf's the one to contact.
Yeah, I've done that, and I've done that a lot for people.
Really interesting NPCs. Ready, set, go.
Yeah, there you go. I made a couple cool ones.
Here are their names. That's all you have to go on.
Yeah, just give me a name and give me a setting, and we'll be good to go.
Yeah, that's fair. You were gonna say something about the RP, I think.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say yeah, definitely. I think it was Horrendous that said that, right? About Golden Feather Tavern. Yeah, it'll be full of RPers. Absolutely. Of the two of us, Chibi is much more into the RP side of things. So she'll be over in one corner telling grand tales with all the other RP folks. I'll be over on the other side with the pitcher of mead, playing drunken darts with all the other foolish adventurers that walk into bears' caves with pots and pans. And we'll just make fools of ourselves, and it'll be just entertaining all the way around. I'm just saying, I'll have the bards on my side, because they like to have fun more than they like to tell tales. I know this.
Just in their DNA.
Yeah.
Let's be bouncing in the middle. I don't know which side to go on. Make stories, tell stories. I don't know.
Do you want to be the star of the show, or do you want to be the center of the epic, or you want to be the one telling the epic?
Right. Right.
Now, I will say taverns are cool. Did I hear that there'll be like open mic situation in taverns, or like like where you can use your computer mic?
I don't really remember specifically.
The theory is supposed to be it's going to be kind of like Rust, where there's just open mic by distance, and it'll be in that area.
That's really cool.
And so you'll be able to just walk up into a tavern, and everybody will be able to just sit there and talk.
That's really neat.
Rust. Yeah. It's going to be some interesting conversations.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
But by the same token, you should be able to mute anybody's audio and or report anybody's audio the same way you can report their text stuff.
I mean, because
Vex are
like goblins and trolls, so you would literally have trolls in your tavern.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's funny you say that.
Just playing nothing but porn in this tavern. It's
oh no,
it's weird porn too.
Oh no, you could totally hear that or see that. Like I can imagine it now. Yep. You're trying to have like a legit like role play thing going on, and then that just cuts through the noise.
Having a serious game of checkers or something, one of the parlor games going, and someone else is having a serious conversation about, I don't know, their crafting or whatever, and then someone just rolls in with Only Grills videos playing.
That all too familiar meatload intro.
Yep. It'll be kind of scary, but at the same time, I mean, you got to figure those people will be getting banned and fairly quickly, I would imagine.
So here's a question I have. So the tavern, are we thinking that it's just going to add like a buff, like a rested XP buff, or like to your, depending on what food you order or what you consume while you're there, some kind of buff for adventuring or gathering, maybe even food, kind of like, I'm thinking of like, what's the game, like Monster Hunter. You know how the foods did like drastically different things and gave you different buffs. I don't know if you ever played it. Yeah. Like the buff, you like went out to make certain things because it added a very specific bonus that you wanted. Are they going to be like food buffs or just buffs for being in the tavern for X amount of time? I don't know what you guys' thoughts were on it.
There have been so many different theories thrown around and so many conversations on it that I honestly forget sometimes where the factual and the theories end. So I'm going to have to pull up the wiki just to be 100% on this. But I do believe it was if you consume certain foods within a certain distance of the tavern, you'll get more of a buff. Okay. And sometimes it's going to end up being just a buff around the tavern. And then once you leave a certain area, the buff goes away as well. I believe that's about how some of it worked. You could grab some food that would be a buff wherever, and some that's going to be a buff only in that area. But I'm going to have to pull up the wiki just to be sure, because there's been so many theories thrown around about that.
I think that's the cool part about where we're at in Ashes with them being so transparent, is that we can like theorize and just come up with all this crazy stuff and not necessarily be wrong. You know, like, no, it'd be really cool if they did this. And it's like, well, they could. So I just think it's a fun space to be in.
Yeah. I think it would be really cool if they did stuff with the Tavern games and stuff like that that affected your gameplay, because it brings it into a more like realistic thing. So if you were to win a game of cards, for example, perhaps you'd have like the lucky trait for maybe an hour or something. And you could have a higher chance of either collecting more consumables or better gear, things like that, for just a small period of time after playing in the tavern. That'd be kind of cool.
That would be cool. I think that's going to take something like that to really try to drive people into the role-playing taverns.
Yeah.
Or just taverns in general. Because while I think it's going to be an awesome role-playing hub, it'll be cool if there were things like that drove your non-role players into the taverns. That way everybody could interact, you know, because if Intrepid can get your PvPers, PvEers, and role players to intersect, the longevity of the project is just going to go out, you know,
right.
Going to blow up.
Right. Also, like Vachi recommended from Star Wars Galaxy or SWG, which was the dancers and musicians giving buffs, like a bard cool. does, you know, bardic inspiration. So that'd be cool.
That's neat. What Horrendous just said there.
Mm-hmm.
With the mounts.
Mm-hmm.
Considering making royal mounts in the Underrealm like underground sandworm travel instead of flying. How neat would that be? Just like rolling up on like a dune type giant worm, cool. Just like popping up through the ground.
See, you went to Dune, I went to Beetlejuice.
I mean, both great. I'm not sure which one I'd rather have on my side, just saying.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing I was excited about, is I wanted to, because they said there would be Underrealm nodes, like taking one of the Underrealms to a metropolis. Like, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be pretty neat. I would imagine it'd be harder to siege as well.
One would think.
Yeah, I could see that.
Unless some of the siege weaponry were like giant drills, like burrowing directly above the town or the metropolis.
Oh, yeah.
Just that'd like collapsing the cave on top of it real quick. But yeah, so I found info on the food buffs. So food buffs in general, the higher quality food item, the greater the duration of the buff. Some buffs may consist through death. They can be increased through the furniture system. That's the part where we were joking for a while about microwavable meals. You can buy food or create food to get a buff, and then it could be boosted by shoving it in the oven at your house. It's like you go and you buy like a take-home, cook-it-yourself pizza.
Take it home and throw it into the buff.
Meals, guys. Yeah, exactly. But tavern consumables. So they'll be able to buy food and drink from a tavern, some of which will be supplied by the tavern owner or other patrons that they get their menu from. So apparently even patrons of the tavern can cook food for the tavern or provide food for the tavern in one way or another.
I wonder if
they will
patron
offer
is like
tangible benefits.
Go ahead, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
I was just going to continue. The next part just said that the consumables will offer tangible benefits to those who stay within a certain proximity of the tavern. That proximity can be upgraded with additional blueprints and other resources.
That's really cool, because I only thought the way to level up your tavern was either furniture or your cooking level. So actually, I didn't even know about furniture until you just said it.
Yeah, we were, I think during Alpha 1, we were both kind of, talking about the rug. It has a piece of it that's like lifted or folded up. And we're both like, I want to go over there and I want to straighten it, or I want to move it.
So it was like this perfectly round rug that had just one section peeled up just a little bit, and there was just the tiniest little fold. Like you could totally trip on it if you were to walk past. And I look at it and say, I need to flatten that. I need to flatten that so badly.
I need to fix that.
Yeah. Apparently it triggers Z too.
Yeah.
Don't talk about the rug wrinkles.
And the other cool thing about the consumables in taverns, the last thing I saw here that was really cool about it was characters will have some agency over what consumables are available in taverns. Could be tied to supply quest or available resources in the region. So
okay, I could see that. Whether it's a food or a drink, and if you're in the desert or the forest.
Yeah, and there could also just be some supply quests that you could do that bring supplies to an area, and that will influence what food you have available in your tavern.
Oh, that's cool. If they had like quest lines that benefited non like, what am I trying to say? Not like overworld progression, like you're not pushing the main storyline or you're not pushing towards a big title, but you do these quest lines that unlock, fried chicken for your tavern. That's kind of cool.
Grumpy would be happy about that one.
Yeah. Grumpy loves chicken.
Who doesn't?
Chicken lover.
Right. Speaking of role-playing and tales, I wanted to share just real quick a couple of places that if you guys enjoy reading short stories, one of these is Vertex's favorite person to get information from, or the backstory rather from, and that is Granthor, and this was last updated May 9th, I believe. Yeah, May 9th. And then there's another person who I was kind of hanging out in the RP section trying to look up some RP specific things, and they have a short story called The Four and the Quest for the Service, and that one sounded really interesting as well. We haven't really been able to have a dedicated RP conversation, and so with Meatloaf being one of the people that do RP based character design and stuff like that based off of MMORPGs, we thought it'd be really cool to kind of tap into the RP side of things a little bit this week. But those are a couple of short stories, and there's actually a post by somebody from the forums asking, what kind of parlor games would you like to see for taverns? Card games were mentioned, and I was wondering if chess would also be available. And this is from August of 2020. So it's a really old, really old forum post. But what do you guys think? What would be a where we have Meatloaf being attacked by a vicious dog? I think the title for this should be Vicious Dog Attacks Meatloaf.
Whoa. Jesus, I got out. I barely survived. She's been in the room with my wife, so when she let her out to go to the restroom, she was like, "Hey, Dad!"
But yeah, what parlor games in particular, like if you could come up with any random parlor game, what parlor game would you like to see?
Ooh. So I think one that could be really fun would be, do you guys remember Liar's Dice from Pirates of the Caribbean?
Okay, yeah.
I remember the name, that's about it.
So basically it's a dice game where you all roll dice, and then you basically lie to each other to see, like, okay, well, if there's 12 dice that got rolled, I think there's 2 threes. The next person's like, oh, I think there's 4 threes. I think, and they just go back lying together until they, somebody calls the bluff and you see who won. But something like that could be fun. There's also, I think chess would be really cool. Like you said, I think that would be easier to program in maybe, since there's a lot of like open source chess. Then I also had a thought the other day. There is actually like a card game that Valve put out that just died. It was terrible. Like the way they pronounced it's called Artifact. But now they made it like free and open source. I just was like, man, I wonder if they could just steal, if they could just use all of that and make their own similar. The reason I say that is like, yeah, Gwent from, was that The Witcher, right?
Mhm.
No, is that right?
Yeah,
I believe so.
Gwent from Witcher. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you had Hearthstone, which wasn't really ever in WoW, but it was based off of WoW. You know, it's like these cool little games that you could like incorporate into the lore and put in there. Development wise, I feel like maybe they could have a lot of basic stuff, like some dice games, some basic card games or something, and maybe they have one like Ashes of Creation specific parlor game. You know, one that's based off like how many gods there are, or how many fallen, or you know, just whatever they want it to be, but it's Ashes themed. The other parlor games could literally just be darts and like, you know, like call it like ale pong, or you know, or whatever you want it to be, and that could be fun. And then have one that's like specific to Ashes of Creation, I think would be pretty cool.
Right. I actually kind of liked Nara's idea about collecting cards from over. Like, what if after you open like a tavern or a restaurant thing, like after you hit a certain level, you can collect a card from there? Something I was thinking.
That would be cool. I also think that would be cool, as well as if you just like a collectibles, maybe not part of a tavern or not a tavern, a parlor game, but like you said, if a tavern reaches a certain level, there's a collectible you can get from there, and then it's like adventurers are like, can I get? Okay, there's 30 taverns of this level on my server. Can I get all 30 collectibles?
Yeah.
You know, now they're adventuring across the world trying to get to all these taverns.
What were you gonna say, Vertex?
I was just going to say, how neat would it be if there was a card game like that was collectible and such, and after you got to a certain rank, you got the ability to create new cards, like based on where you go, or like if you end up seeing a new animal and you're that high enough in the card game skill brackets or whatever, you could end up just creating the new card like that, and then it'll be in circulation from that point forward.
I was thinking, what if you have the calligraphy or something kind of skill, so then you can make the card together.
And then have your name stamped on it from that point forward. It's now in circulation, but because you were the first person to see that thing while also being that high in that game skill.
Yeah.
How's that for you? Like,
they could put a ton
benefit
of
of being
like
an explorer and social gamer. See how long you can stick your arm in a Flangler's mouth game. Nice.
Yeah, it would be. I think it would be something like that to reward people who level up their taverns. But at the same time, I think it would be cool if, like, every time a tavern got to that level or a node reached a certain threshold, it also got that collectible. Because then, not that it would, but there might be a small group of people that are like, hey, you know what we don't have? We don't have the collectible from a military metropolis. Okay, well, how are we going to do this? Are we going to take down one of the other metropolises? Or are we, you know, or is there room to build one up? But I think that could be cool. I think you guys are right. Some kind of way of tying in the parlor game with like progression or a collection across the world. Like another asset or another like hook to pull people into the tavern or like get them involved in the RP stuff would be cool.
Yeah.
I'm just saying they need to find a way to get the hot wing challenge into the taverns.
Yeah. That would be kind of fun. Like, there's a certain level of spice, and you have like the debuff of like everything is on fire for like X amount of time. But also you have the braver, so like your AC would essentially be higher. Oh my gosh, I want to write that down for a D&D session now.
Maybe if if different regions had different kinds of peppers. And so you could build up a tolerance for your area's peppers, but then you go to a different area's peppers and they burn a little different, so you don't have as much tolerance there.
They hit a little different. You know what? What they should peppers do is you can unlock recipes, and there's the afterburn. So like the next time you log on your character, then they get the debuff.
That's when it hits. Yep.
That's funny.
When it hits.
But Well, I was also thinking about you, not like Magic the Gathering cards, like what you were saying, but somebody was talking about collectible cards. So, like, that should be something that could be
cool.
Open. Yeah.
Yeah, not necessarily a game, but collectible cards would be really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was talking about their cards that the developers are intending to be out there, but they would only be added to circulation once somebody of a certain skill level found that creature or whatever.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, that makes really good
and so
sense.
then it would finally hit circulation once somebody of a certain skill level in the game finds that creature or that place or that whatever that card is based off of.
I'd like to keep track of all the different food and drink I've consumed. Ooh, that's a good idea.
Count. I would love a drink count, or you could go on your character sheet, like your achievements, and be like, "Congratulations, you've eaten 16 Kieran worth of ribs and 3 kegs worth of ale since your character's been alive."
Yeah,
it needs to be a hangover count too.
Yeah,
it should be a threshold. I think a couple games tried that where like you drank so much, your screen would just get fuzzy for 5 minutes or something.
Hello, Lore.
Hello.
Gateway.
2 names right in a row that we haven't seen in a minute. Air and Lore. My goodness.
Tech Deck.
Welcome back.
I'm so glad you said that. Congrats, never you're an alcohol. Yes, food achievements. Wait, where is that? Come back here. There we go. Okay, there's Tech Deck. I got Tech Deck in here. So I like these conversations about like achievements and everything. But Tech also gives a great gateway in for maybe art contests to add as cards. And the reason why I think that's a great, I'm so glad that Tech Deck mentioned that, is there was a thread. Biggest thing about character creation roleplay is your appearance. And the biggest thing that we had a conversation about was tattoos. So somebody in Katsunia was saying, how about having a tattoo concept competition so you later add community voted tattoos in game?
I think that makes sense. Fortnite did a dance competition, right?
I think so.
And the winner got, a bunch of swag, but they got their dance put in game.
Yeah.
So I think doing something like that with tattoos would be great. I mean, especially because tattoos can have such a wide variety of what they are, from just the sheer, the same tattoo in 5 different art styles. So I think that would be really cool, and then they can hold like specific, like, hey, we want a Kieran tattoo, but, somebody do it like a traditional, like, feudal Japan, like Renkai inspired. Somebody do it like an Empyrean elf style, and they give guidelines. So that could be really neat.
Absolutely. I support this. Do it.
Okay, now let's combine the last 2 topics together. What if, through adventuring, you're able to unlock tattoos as achievements?
Done. I'm shut it down. I like it. I think that would be really cool. It'd be another way. But here's a counterpoint. How would you see them? Unless you go Post Malone, they're not going to see it, right? Because unless you're like in the middle of a raid and you're like, check this out. Check it out.
If you get the right tattoo, you can design your armor around it.
Well, also you can place the tattoo anywhere you want it to be. So there's that.
So yeah, Post Malone. There you go.
There's there's the actually I picked out a specific outfit that I like. I can't pull it up right now, but it has like the midriff showing. But it was like one of the more rangery cosmetics that they had. So there's definitely places for you to put it. But we had also had a conversation about there's RP. So with the RPers, maybe you have a different thing than your normal gear because you're RPing in a certain area. And so maybe for RP's sake, your gear that has that allows that tattoo to be shown is like a point of pride. And maybe your character is pretty proud of going to like wherever it was. Like, I did this really difficult wing challenge thing, and now I have flaming chickens as my tattoo. I don't know.
Yes, absolutely.
My character passed out at Ibiza. Now I have this tattooed on my face.
I got in a drinking contest with a bunch of dwarves and woke up and now I have a tramp stamp. Like, I can't. These parlor games got out of control.
Right. For when you begged for gold by the mailbox with no shit. I bought a pure gel. I was bummed that it won't change color like the one in the weather video. Oh.
Yeah,
the pure gel, not a cow. Oh.
I'd be interested talking about art if you could like the signboard for your tavern. Like if there'll be a signboard and can you like pick a bunch of like a good amount of graphics to put on it.
Mm-hmm.
That'd be really
write your own little messages and such, at least, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Right, like a chalkboard. You can put all your little like today's soup, alcohol on the rocks or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Useless trivia for the day. Vodka is a salad. So.
Right.
But I think it I think that would be really cool. I like the tattoo idea. I like the collectible card idea. Anything to really tie, like I said, I think I've said it too many times, is like tying the role-playing crowd in with your hardcore progression junkies.
Yeah. And were there any things there that looked interesting to you, Vertec?
I think you're hitting the good ones, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm in no particular rush to get to any of them. They all look good, to be honest.
Okay. I'm just going to kind of weave them in as it makes sense then, if that's okay. So since we're talking about role-playing, if anybody is interested in role-playing, this person made a wonderful post on how to role-play, and that is Morashdak. They are a Braver Worlds Kickstarter Alpha 1 person, and they posted this back in April of 2019. And it goes through things like, how does this guide help the non-role-playing player, and like what is role play and how does this work on an online game, things like that. And I figured this was pretty decent considering Meatloaf was taking role play into MMORPGs, and I thought that was a really nice little tie-in for like, okay, I've played D&D before with my role play. How does that get applied to Ashes, for example? What are your thoughts, given that, this is the content that you make?
So the post itself is it's just really well done. It's really well organized. I've actually read it before because I've been going through the roleplay forums trying to find something to get into. And they do a great job, and a lot of it helps with, especially since most of the role playing right now in Ashes is like what's called play by post in a forum or in a Discord.
Yeah.
And that's a lot more difficult than in person. Simply because you can't deal with mannerisms and you can't be like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, or oh, I misunderstood what you said. I thought you were doing this. You lose all of that.
Yeah.
But they talk in here about how you have to leave things open-ended, and you don't want to dominate, and you don't want to like, as much as we all want to be the most powerful person in our own world, when you're role playing, the whole joy about it is that you're like living out your favorite fantasy novel, or you're living out, just like this cool, I've always said it's like a fantasy inspired escapism from whatever's going on in your life. But you want other people to be able to take part of it. It gives life, it gives attitude, it gives feeling to whatever you're playing, or whatever your situation you're doing. So they do a really good job about how not to dominate, want to leave things open-ended for them. They did it. They go over a lot of really good stuff. And I think it translates well to how you're going to role play in Ashes. If you're not in the tavern where you actually have voice chat, trying to role play in an MMORPG's chat box is wild. It is like, for all of us out there that are the OGs, it's Baron's chat, like 1.0.
Yeah.
Like it can get crazy. So just being aware of things that, is it hard to role play in open? Sorry. Yes, I agree. But yeah, so role playing is just going to be difficult in the chat box. And then if you're not in the tavern setting and you are in the open world and you're like trying to have like this cool role playing session and then somebody just shows up and kills you. So yeah, I could totally see that too. But the post in general is really well done, and I highly recommend anybody to read it, especially those who aren't role players, because they bring up a lot of good points of like, get in with the role play crowd because we'll pay the extra gold for the purple scarf because it matches the rest of our outfit. Like, you know, like
we'll pay, gonna bring that up next.
Like we'll pay the extra. Like, oh, I unlocked a rare recipe and it's a scarf and it's purple. Nobody wants that. Wait, somebody will pay for it.
Wait.
Yeah. And that actually, they were talking about how if you find something that just looks interesting, even if it's trash, like vendor's trash, that's the RP, or like one adventurer's trash is a role player's treasure, as they put it, I think.
That's really good.
Yeah. So I just thought that was really interesting, and it's something that I never really thought of, because I would go grinding through with Final Fantasy with Vertec to find specific outfit pieces, because I'm like, I want this thing. I want to look for this thing, and it ends up being like not the best piece of gear, but it looks good.
Yeah, and I think that gives away to what you're talking about, having like, I wonder if they'll have like presets like on my character page of like outfit 1. You know, and I name it like PvE. You know, outfit 2 is like going on the town, you know, and you click it and it's like, your guy's got a top hat and a monocle, you know,
right.
Whatever. But
okay, Jillon.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that would be really cool to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Is there like a cloth profession?
I think there's tailoring.
Yeah, I believe there's going to be, yeah.
Let me see. Pull up the wiki.
Bocce, will transmog be a thing in Ashes of Creation? I think that was
a tough
something
one.
Similar. Yeah. Something similar. There's
yeah, and probably Weaver.
What was it? Some of the items that you find in game, you'll be able to do piece by piece, but the stuff that you're buying currently on the cosmetic shop is like outfits at a time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they said something about they made a lot of the armor sets module so that you could get the gloves from the, wasteland set and they're the same color as the desert druid set and you can match that with the robe. So they made them all module for that reason.
Yeah, exactly. Bocce, I'll actually be getting to that also in just a second. Bringing up lots of good things.
I don't actually see.
You can. Boshi, that's actually where they are. That's actually what they're selling in the cosmetic shop. Is cosmetics that you can apply over top of your current gear.
Yeah. I'm still waiting for a cool costume cosmetic for RP. Yeah, I feel that horrendous. I actually think I found mine. Actually, I'm just gonna go look it up real quick because it was right here. I forgot what it was called, but it was the green. Where did I pull that from?
I don't know.
I don't know. I wish I could just
see a tailoring or a weaving on the list of professions.
All right, let me check wiki. Whoops. But what about you, Vertec?
I dig it. Basically it's the same thing. Like I made a good bit of money in WoW by going to the auction house before I went to the vendor, and you would see people with ridiculous prices for some of the most basic items just because they drop in places nobody goes to, and it's a fairly rare drop, even if it's like a gray quality. So you literally could sell it for like 2 copper, even though it's a level 70 item. It sells for absolute garbage. It costs you more by taking up bag space that you could use to carry something else than you make by selling it to a vendor anywhere.
Right.
But you would find it on the auction house like 1,000 gold. What? Why would somebody even want this, let alone for that much money?
Right.
All right. Well, maybe somebody's trying to launder it for their gold selling business. Okay, whatever. I mean, if they're buying, here you go. I'll take it real quick. But lo and behold, give it another week and there's somebody else trying to buy the same thing for another 1,000 gold. All right, fair enough. I would go hunt these, except for it took forever, and I only found one in like 4 hours of running through there. So no, not going to do it.
I've always said that besides looking at role players as like a cash cow when you're playing the game, like even if you don't role play, looking for the things like we just talked about, is like I have found that role playing MMO players seem to be more dedicated to an IP and don't necessarily leave or drop the game for extended periods of time when their class isn't as strong as it was the last patch.
Yeah.
Or, because while it still, affects gameplay, a lot of the role-playing players are like, oh, okay, I guess that's bad. But we don't really care.
Right.
Really, so I've always said that if you can support your role-playing community, even if it's like collateral damage, it's just the systems you want to put in your game, that you start creating this base of players who become more, more dedicated to your IP. Just because, we're not going to run away if, oh, my sword doesn't make a clinking sound in line with when it strikes a sword in battle. It's like, okay, but I just farmed for 12 hours straight and had a blast,
Right. Z, it's the one that's a bit more woven look, but like, it has like a thing, a cloak almost made out of like what looks like leaves, but it has like pink at the top of the head, and then a satchel that goes across the waist with some pants and boots with like a crop top that looks like it's like woven together kind of, and then the armbands have like this almost like vine covering going down, like vine bracers. How many RPers do you think there will be on a server? That's a good question, because I know that the RP community is waiting to unofficially call a server the RP unofficial official server.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like your closest regular players would be what profession first players would get close to to role players, just because they'll be in nodes, in the kind of the RP hubs the most.
Yeah.
At least 3, no less than 2.
No less.
No less than 2. But Bochi.
Yes, that one. Thank you. Sorry, they found
Bochi
the one I was
also
talking
asking
about.
about the. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Nope, I was just saying Z found the one I was talking about.
Oh, Figuart's Vengeance. Yeah, I remember seeing that one. I remember seeing that one.
Really good, especially on those new Pyre models.
Heck yeah.
But you were saying, Vertec?
Oh, yeah, Bochi. Bochi said that he knew about the cosmetics. Like if you find a piece of gear in the game, can you make the look of it, or then you like the look of it, can you apply that new look to your best gear? According to the last info that I have, yes, you can.
Yeah.
There's going to be a slot that you can use to copy the appearance of an item that you drop in there. So basically like a typical transmog, except you don't store the appearance in like a library. You have to drop the piece of gear in there and it uses that appearance directly. That's how it seems to me.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, this may change between now and then. There may be a better clarification on it that changes like how that works. But yeah, that actually works really well into the next topic that I was going to take us into, which is what they were just asking us, is the new dev discussions, number 42. Talking about gear color customization, which wouldn't you know it, role players love that.
Believe it or not.
How do you feel about dyeing your gear? How far would you like the system to go? Do you prefer a full color range that allows for some odd color combination, or a more limited one that preserves visual fidelity and realism?
Ooh, this has already been a touchy subject in different discords and forums.
Okay.
I've seen some people who don't care at all, and they don't care if, you've got your battle armor and like hot pink and neon green. They don't care. And then you've got a lot of people that want they want to keep that immersion and that fantasy feel, so they don't necessarily want it to be as over the top. I had even suggested, like, what if there was a color palette per region? And that would take into account like the race of the region, the primary race of the region, the foliage, the environment, and then that's the color palette, and you can do whatever you want with that color palette. Because somebody had said something about a pink armor, and I was like, okay, yeah, sure, but if it was like a cherry blossom inspired from the feudal Japan inspired Renkai, then you wouldn't have a problem with it because it makes sense, right?
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing also that I have a lot of issue with people when they say realism, because you're playing a video game about something that doesn't exist. And do you really think if somebody's going to try to honestly take on like a dragon or a giant 25-foot spider that could have fangs that could rip your skull right out of your skin, no problem? Do you think they would really have a problem being crazy enough and loony enough to dye their armor bright pink just to be weird about it? Probably not. They would probably just, I don't care, I like the color, so that's what color it is. You have a problem with it? Here, take this dragon head that I just brought back from my last raid. Tell it that you have a problem with me having pink armor.
Yeah. For me, I feel like a mixture, because having the realism part means like, let's take the Fagard Vengeance, for example. I like the base of that armor. It's really pretty. Would I like to change some pieces of it? Absolutely. But I'd want the rest of it to stay kind of, I guess, realistic to what it was supposed to be originally. Instead of like washing out some of the detail, I'd like the ability to change some of it. Like, what if instead of green, my options were more realistic to that type of thing, since it's made with foliage? So like, what if my options were like orange or brown? And then obviously the flowers can be any color, so I could change the pinks to being purple, but it keeps the feeling and the original intent of the outfit without changing it too much. Versus when I played Tiny Tina's and then I accidentally pick like highlighter yellow and like bright pink, and it really like washes out the intent of what the outfit was supposed to be in terms of like patterning and everything. It really like removes it. I would like the ability to change everything and have options for everything, but I would also enjoy the ability of being like, realistically speaking, for this outfit, oranges, greens, browns, and maybe even pinks for like you were saying the Renkai. But foliage colors would make more sense for that part. But the other parts could be any color you want them to be, kind of thing. So I guess I'm like caught in the middle a little bit.
Yeah, because I can definitely see Vertex, like, it's a game. If the person wants to wear, bright pink, let them wear bright pink. Who cares? Like, it doesn't affect my gameplay. It doesn't affect how much I enjoy and interact with the game. But it could mean something totally different for them, and they like it more. It's hard to have these, because I understand the wanting your immersion, that magical word that everybody throws around.
Yeah.
I get that. But at the same time, for me, it comes down to different players being able to integrate and play and interact with the game in whatever way makes them the happiest. That's what game's for, And so if they can interact in the game, and it means a lot to them to be able to pick neon pinks and greens, I don't, it doesn't bother me, right. But it's just, I get both sides of it. So I think it's a really hard spot to be in, because to be honest, as a developer, I mean, no matter which way you go, you're going to make somebody mad.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I just figure you're going to probably upset fewer people, in theory, if you went the safe route of keeping it quote-unquote realistic colors for that type of material. Just because some people are going to look at it and go, oh my gosh, that's so not what this world would really be like. But are you sure? Because again, you have giant spiders spitting poison half a mile to catch you as you're running away from rabid rabbits that have teeth the size of your head, because you just took the toenail of a dragon and mixed it with the spittle of a giant cyclops. And you're telling me that pink and green don't go well together because they're not natural for that outfit? Really?
Yeah.
There's going to always be somebody that stands out in any kind of era or any kind of whatever. Like, there's going to be the crazy people. It would be akin, I see it as being kind of silly to the point of saying you can't roleplay a demented mage that lives in a tower and is cross-eyed because it can't realistically be cross-eyed. That's just not a thing.
I mean, his spells would go everywhere. How would he?
Who are you to define what my character is? My character's crazy, okay? That's how he made the color pink. He was trying to create a deadly virus, and it just turned pink because he's cross-eyed. That's why he wears neon pink.
It was an accident.
Yeah, it's completely accidental, but he can't change it because he can't see well enough to not blow himself up for sure.
Yeah. Pardon me. I think my final answer is that have the ability to change everything, whatever color you want everything to be, like be able to apply that stuff to everything. But just know, just because the option's there to do it doesn't mean you have to do it. You could choose to not apply that. Perhaps if you want some things to not get dyed over, you might be able to have the ability to lock it down so you don't accidentally dye it by having the numerous different palettes that you can click through to dye stuff. I think I guess to kind of quote, but not exactly in the same context, Jalan from earlier, you don't really notice a bathroom when it's there, but you notice when it's not, kind of thing. So I don't really notice the ability to change things necessarily, but I definitely notice when I'm not allowed to. In this case,
Good place. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Because it's there, not everybody's going to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Though in that context, he was referring to combat, which we'll get into in a second. But yeah, I thought that was a really interesting way of phrasing something. And I was like, yeah, I mean, that's fair. There's a lot of things that don't necessarily make or break the game, but they're nice to haves. And for some people, they would be very obvious if they're not in the game. But Lore was just talking about the World of Tanks, where you can choose to hide certain colorings that are not normal, like camo pink. So like that could be an option. But GNOP popped in. Hello, GNOP. Says, how do you guys feel about being able to change the color of spells and abilities? This could also include the option in your settings to force others to display defaults. I think it's cool being able to change your spell's color.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
I think, because I know that certain abilities and spells and effects are going to be changed depending on your race.
Mm-hmm.
And then they'd mentioned that maybe the weather would have a little bit of an impact too. I don't know if that'll affect like the coloration or not. And I don't know, have any of the cosmetic packs had any effects or anything of like alterations for effects? Have they just been clothing and pets and like caravans? And
I think some of the
idea.
Kickstarters had something, but most of the other things I didn't really see have much.
I would like them to be quest lines or drops or something like that. I think there was something like that in WoW where like if you were a warlock, you could go on a quest line and then all your fire abilities were green.
Yeah.
Or something like that. Like that kind of cool, I think would be cool if they had quest lines, things like that, where you actually had to put in more time in the game to unlock them instead of necessarily just like right-clicking the ability and selecting purple. Like you had to go, fight. If it was a necromancer, you had to go fight a demon who had purple fire, and once you beat him, you unlock the ability to make your abilities purple or whatever.
That would actually be really, really cool.
Yeah, and so I think I don't recall any of or many of the cosmetics, if any, mentioning anything about augmenting skill stuff, but I want to say there may have even been something like a node can choose certain things to impact that. I'm kind of looking it up on the wiki now just to make sure, but
Okay.
I think I remember them saying something about that. Like if a mayor chooses to do things and such, it could potentially augment skills in a visual manner at least.
All I'm saying is apparently the mayor of one of these nodes is going to be a full-time job.
There it is. That's the thing for Kickstarter. There's the backer-only skill effects set. That was unlocked as soon as there were 16,000 backers. And there were 19,576, so kind of just barely skimmed over that one.
Yeah.
Well, barely, I mean by 20%. So yeah, they jumped right past it. I guess.
Just by this much.
Just by this much.
Right.
But yeah, so I think the coloring would be cool for skills and abilities, but I would like to see it behind progression and in-game content.
Yeah, I could see that. This is just gonna be for mention, just because we were talking about like weather and everything. This is from Reddit. DPorsche90 says the season's feedback and for water. They loved the new season's reveal videos. The only concern was the water in the big river not looking aligned with the rest of the texture, style, and world. They did find an insane video about Unreal Engine 5's water demo, and maybe it may be helpful. I don't know if this is a tool that they might be using or able to use to remake it, but this really made the water look very realistic. And like if you watch the video, it pulls in like if you're literally at the beach watching it into like a pile of rocks, like an opening of rocks, and it would naturally pull into that area. But I just wanted to mention that real quick. I was trying to do that for the segue real quick. Side note, while Vertec was looking for the thing on the wiki, but yeah, I just I thought that was really cool, and potentially with the UE5 updates could be something we'll see, and that adds a little bit to the realism of role playing and being in the world around you and things like that. It's a very neat idea.
I went ahead and pulled it up and put it on as the main video.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, and then they did say like multiple times like this was their first pass.
Mm-hmm.
So I could definitely see them going back, especially with how much they seem to be all over the forums.
Yeah.
You know, they've most likely seen this video. If they hadn't before it was posted,
yeah,
you know, they've probably seen it now.
Yeah, exactly. But big thing. So the live stream got pushed back to the 30th because Steven wants to share out some combat updates, and I know this is something that you guys have been wanting to chat about tonight, so I was waiting to like move over to it, you know. But yeah, so the that link, they also are asking for some questions, so that's the Q&A area. But I forgot where I grabbed it, but essentially Stephen was talking about wanting to push back a little bit to be able to showcase some of the combat things they've been working on. And I don't know, what do you guys think?
Do you want to go first?
I think it's going to be an update on all the combat information through the eyes of a Tolnar. With the Tolnar character fully fleshed out in character creator, and it's probably going to have secondary archetypes that you're going to see them choose. And following that, the second video of the stream is going to be Nodes 3.
Oh no!
Setting up the biggest.
That's how you know that he's pulling a big lull.
The biggest live stream in history.
Right.
The biggest live stream in Ash's history ever.
I'm with Vertec.
You know, I'm honestly not gonna try to get too terribly hopeful. I'm hoping it's gonna end up being super awesome, but I'm thinking it's probably gonna be more along the lines of, hey, we have a new iteration of combat that we're thinking of trying out. Here's a video of me kind of doing a few things, kind of like they did with the body root and split animation, where he was just like, here's what the root animation, and here's what the split. It might be a quick little like, okay, so now you see the action cam works this way, and we're going to interact with it that way. And it'll be maybe like a 10-minute thing. Like, it's still in the first iteration and everything, but we wanted to share something with you.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be interested to see what it looks like, simply because of what they've done with the amount of time they've had in UE5 with the weather.
Yeah.
So seeing what they do with the combat is going to be really interesting. And then if they do the dual daggers, presumably the rogue gameplay with that. I think it makes sense to do I've seen a couple different ways people have put this, but showing it in little sections allows for them to get like real-time feedback as they're developing. So they're like, we thought this was really cool, but then the whole community goes like, we don't like it.
Yeah.
Then they can be like, okay, well, the good news is we didn't make the whole thing like that. We just made this little bit, so now we can fix it. And we've seen that Intrepid Studios has done a really good job of like sticking to their vision, which has been a worry of some people, is if you open up the development process further, because they're already very transparent, if they open up like every level to, for lack of a better term, like public scrutiny, that they would like get lost in trying to please everybody and lose the vision for what they were making. But I think they've given us like a lot of good history to just kind of have confidence that they're not going to lose their vision. So I like the idea of doing it in little bite-sized pieces. Plus, it's kind of like chumming the waters.
Right.
Like, they're just throwing like little bits out there. Like, all right, shut up. Here's a little bit of dual daggers. Like, okay, here.
Yeah.
Next month, we're going to show you all the different furs the bear have. And then the month after that, we'll give you a bow and arrows. And they'll just kind of throw it out there to just keep us shut up.
Right.
Stop bothering us already.
What I just shared out was a link to a screenshot somebody grabbed, and it was Steven. This was posted 2 days ago, so this is probably 3 days ago that this was all decided. I decided is the best approach to show small combat updates and elicit feedback on the direction taken. So we will be starting with the basic weapon attacks, visual effects, player root split body movement, and directional inputs. And they said, we will see. I have asked the community team to push the stream back to the 30th of this month in an attempt to show a small combat update on basic weapon attacks and movement updates. If I approach the combat update for this month's stream, if I approve the combat updates for this month's stream, there's a 100% chance of dual daggers being shown. So very excited. Very exciting news there to hear about like the combat stuff. Some people are obviously not very excited by this. There are some people that are a bit skeptical towards what all of this means. And for some people, combat makes or breaks the game for them. And I don't think that I actually agree with Jalon in this case. I don't agree that is the case for the game entirely. It might be the case for a player of the game, but it's one of those things of, I don't like the way that Fortnite gameplay is made, so I wouldn't enjoy Fortnite because of the way the combat system is there. But I might enjoy something like Final Fantasy with the spells and everything, because that fits me better. And so it's just, I think more comes down to personal preference at that point.
Yes, I think something I proposed to some people that were having a good chat, and this it was like, if Intrepid Studios delivered like A to A+ on every system they told us they wanted to do, everything comes out A+, but combat was a B or a B+. I think the game would be a mad success.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's my personal opinion, right? And when I brought that up to a totally different Discord, they were like, "Oh, the game would be dead. Nobody would play it. It's all about combat." So like, if combat's not an A, if combat's anything less than an A, the game's dead. The game's never going anywhere. And it's really interesting, because I can see that a lot of that culture is part of like the new video game culture of like, and these are not to be derogatory, but like min-maxers or metagamers or power gamers, however you want to call them. That's what they do. That's their content. World first, number 1 rated rogue in Battlegrounds, number 1. So that's how a lot of people interact with the games now. So those people, the ones that hop from game to game every 3 to 4 months, 6 months, whatever's the hot content, whatever's the hot thing, I can see those players, if it was the way we just said, all A's and B on combat, I could see them getting in and then getting out and hating everything.
Yeah. I think we need to set up a shout out, Love.
Yeah, we do. I thought we did already.
We don't get rated too often, so yeah.
But yeah, thank you, Cry. Appreciate you stopping by.
Please go check them out. They're super awesome. They also cover Ashes of Creation content stuff, and just very exciting to see like everybody kind of leaning in a little bit, waiting for this next development update to see what is coming out of it, because especially for them to delay the live stream, it must be something big, right? So
I would be interested to see. So what if the combat update comes out and it blows us away like the weather did?
Right.
Just this little chunk of dual daggers is like just, you know, what would there be a larger influx in people like in the Ashes of Creation waiting room?
Mm-hmm.
But everybody that's already here just get more hyped. I'd be interested to see.
Yeah. And Lure says, my 2 cents. For me, it's not the only thing, but it's big enough that if it sucks, they'll lose me. Okay, so that can possibly be a gimme for pretty much everybody, because if it's actually bad combat, not just not good combat, but if it's actually bad combat, like it's got a very distinct like quarter of a second delay between hitting a button and something happening, and skills are really boring, they don't do much, they feel real blah, it's not satisfying at all, that you would lose a large player base. But what if it was just lukewarm? What if it was just standard combat? Nothing great about it whatsoever. And as a matter of fact, maybe it's just like the hair's breadth below just combat. It's just kind of meh, but it's acceptable-ish. I mean, obviously if it's acceptable, you probably wouldn't leave, but it's just lukewarm. It's just nothing special about it. And, you know, it's been sitting on the counter for a couple hours, so it's kind of stale, but it's not terrible.
Yeah. Toxic Ape is asking, I'm curious about weather. How much effect can it do in combat 1v1? That's something that we have yet to see, honestly. We know that it can affect your abilities, potentially. And it can affect, like, loot tables and things like that. But we're not really sure, you know.
It's all theory. That's all theory crafting at this point.
Yeah.
And even at that point, even if we have it 100% correct on the first iteration, if we were to make that prediction, it could definitely change by the time that week is over, even after some testing and feedback. So at this point, we have no info.
Yeah, that's good. Good point. Sorry, I mean, that's good. I was reading. I'm sorry. Ash's Nurse says, I don't think that the dev combat update, it will blow people away in general. Some people just want the Asian Korean over the top fast looking action combat with screen shakes and sound effects. It makes it seem like the hits are bigger than they are.
What was that game? It came over, it wasn't Lost Ark, it was before that. There was a big MMO that came over from the East, and it had that kind of combat, and it just flopped. It was Blessed?
Oh, I think that sounds familiar.
Yeah, it had the combat like that, and it did not come over well.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was one game that came out a long time ago that was amazing. It was called Cabal. It definitely came over from the East, and it was very flashy combat. It was very, like, Twitch reaction combo combat. Mm-hmm. Like, the longer a combo you could make happen, the more your damage grew, like, almost exponentially. But some of the classes were super combo dependent, so they were really, really tight windows on when to smash the button. But I think the only reason that one really died is because I think it was a month after launch, just hackers were everywhere. It was insane.
Oh.
The entire game was just hacked to bits. Like everybody had the super awesome stuff because they just logged in with a cheat engine and I got a thing, and then they were super powered.
Yeah.
I think it'll be, you know, I know, yes, combat is probably, you've always said that it's the biggest reveal. Like, it is the biggest reveal they have left, really. Like, we all want to see, you know, I still think there's very important things like nodes and professions and models and all that stuff. Like, that's really important, but I think combat's the one everybody's waiting on.
Yeah.
So
I can
it
see
was
that.
interesting to me to see them take it down to like more digestible pieces instead of like one giant reveal.
Yeah. I thought that was kind of cool too.
Yeah, because at first I think a lot of us were thinking that it was going to be like this big combat reveal, and at the end of the big combat reveal was going to be the date of Alpha 2.
Oh,
You know,
wow.
Dun, dun, dun.
But
Wow.
yeah, like that would
was
be like
pretty like presumptuous or like excited for that kind of. I wouldn't have even expected an Alpha 2 date until at least a couple more months.
well, we were thinking combat. We weren't going to see combat until like December this year, and then they might announce Alpha 2 like into Q1 23 or something like that.
Combat and Ragnar.
Yeah, Frognar's definitely big. Combat, definitely big. Seeing the impact of secondary archetypes, it's definitely a big one. Like exactly what that does for a class. All of the rest of the node stuff, like all of that in one big dump would be huge. Little bits and pieces will be kind of like meh along the way.
Yeah,
But
I could see that.
if they were to do a big dump of lore info, or not lore info, but node info, lore will obviously be a big reveal. But that,
Right.
ideally, I'd like them to save as much lore as they can, as long as they can.
Right.
Yeah, I kind of like what Bochi said. If they like showed us their new combat, or maybe like you guys said earlier, like it's just a quick like, hey, this is the new direction we're taking combat, and this is what it looks like in UE5. Hey, by the way, we're doing hybrid combat, like, and then in the street, or like we're going full tab and then just offline. like let us know, and then go from there.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, this is a big thing it's a big core of it, because this is something Steven was talking about from the beginning. This is the type of combat that I would like. We're going to have this option and that option, or it's been a hot topic for discussion for a while. And I almost wonder if they're doing it small bites at a time, because they would like people to be able to essentially see something, digest it, have feedback on that particular thing. Kind of like with the weather system.
I could see that. That way it's not like, okay, what do you think of the entire combat system? And then they mention one or two things, whereas if it were released in bits and pieces, they could have commented on everything along the way.
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah, it opens yourself up to more constructive criticism, not just the negative, but it allows you to take in a lot of like for the weather system. Like, first off, I was blown away by that, right? But as I was watching it, like people that were much more into game development than I am were just like, oh, that looks really good. I wonder if they'll fix this. And I'm like, what do you mean fix that? That looks great. And they're like, no, not really. It's not where you want, and I'm like, oh, well, I thought it was cool.
Yeah, right.
So,
aren't we fancy? I thought it was pretty great. Jeez.
Right? People were complaining about the way the rocks and the road looked, and how this and that didn't look real, or didn't look as good as it could in UE5. And I was just like, well, this looked amazing.
Yeah.
This clip right here where the wind blows and the grass bends and then like changes the colors of the top of the grass. I like took my headset off and walked away. And I was like, that's it. Sign me up. I'm out.
Sign me up. I'm out.
That's it.
Yeah. Okay, so speaking of artisan classes and stuff, I've got a two-part thing. For one, how are you feeling with the lore bits that get dropped with the cosmetic shop items?
I think it's a cool way to add it in, but I think a lot of people miss them, because a lot of people just see the picture and then skip.
Yeah.
Like they just bounce and they don't read the forum post.
Yeah.
So I think that's a weird way to do it. Like, I like it since I know it's there. Like, I go looking for it, but I don't necessarily feel like. And I feel like they're all like we're reading a chapter out of the middle of a book. Like I don't have context before, and I don't know what's going on. And I was reading, I'm like, hey, that was kind of cool, but I have no idea what's happening. I don't know where this takes place, so it's a little confusing. I just like any bit of lore, though, so I'm not really picky at this point.
That's fair. Well, I'm Ashes on the 16th had typed up, what do you get when you combine an alpaca, a llama, and a turtle? You get the amethyst bug bite? Is that what that's supposed to be called? Bow bite? B-O-U-G-H bite.
Bow
Bite?
bite. Yeah, bow bite.
I was like, that would be an interesting way of saying bug bite. I don't know. Bow bite? Bow bite?
Amethyst.
Bow bite.
Bow. Okay, thank you.
I said you get the world's most comfortable sweater.
Like Rockabye Baby on the treetop. When the bow breaks, the cradle will
When the
fall.
bow bites.
Yeah, when the bow
Yeah.
bites. Exactly.
But yeah, I was trying to like, I guess, intersect the lore and everything, but I know Vertec and we have seen stuff that are on the cosmetic shop, and we're like, I don't know, I don't really know. And then they flesh it out, and we see things like this, and we're like, I should have gotten it, and now it's gone.
Should have done it.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't mind riding around town on a purple bow bite.
Right. Now, you guys.
Let me actually get this video pulled up here.
Yeah.
I was trying to make it proper size.
Which
When
video
I
is
first
this?
pulled it up, it was tiny. The video for the bow bite.
Oh, okay. Cool. I just had the image there. I didn't have the video.
That is actually a really good point. Somebody had said something about individual class skills and combat, full combat release being kind of this one in the same review.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely.
overthrow. Yeah. I see your question, Guild Umbra. There are mixed thoughts. Lots of
easy.
mixed thoughts.
Easy. Right before UE6 comes out.
It will be planned exactly 3 months before UE6.
Goodness.
The next time
At
the
which point
Mexican
they're gonna
pizza
start
comes
porting
back,
over.
Ashes of Creation will be playable.
Oh my gosh.
That will be when they announce the first expansion, UE6 compatibility.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're moving over for the first expansion. We're gonna moving the entire game over to UE6.
At Ashes Con.
Goddess of Palms.
But no, there's a whole lot of thoughts. 2013 is when a lot of people are thinking, or 2023, geez, 2013, jeepers, going back in time here.
Yeah.
But yeah, 2023 at the beginning of next year is when people are thinking the Alpha 2 is going to start.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the
Yeah.
timetable I've heard from that was was Alpha 2 for like almost a year.
Yeah, and then
each beta
Beta
will be
1.
like 3 or 4 months or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably like 4 to 6 months is what
Okay.
most people are thinking. So basically 2023 being the year of Alpha 2, 2024 being the year of betas, and then 2025 release. That's what some people are thinking is basically that.
And development for this started in 2013. Is that what you said?
20. I
Uh,
think.
It actually started in 2017. It kind of started in a proof of concept form in like 2015, 2016. But it was just like 2 or 3 of them kind of hanging out, talking shop, and putting some random stuff on the computer and trying some things out. And then they got like a couple other people on board. So by the time they went to the Kickstarter, it was like 6 people on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they say.
And-
They say MMOs take anywhere from like 10 to 12 years to really get going, like development wise. So that would put us about
that's
right
what
on
the full
track.
team. Yeah, that's what the full team
Yeah.
beginning. So
Yeah.
if you have
This is
the full team,
6 people beginning.
yeah, and that was in 2017. So I mean, they started bringing people on later in 2017 after the Kickstarter. Started bringing more people on every single year since then, and now they're talking about 150 people, which is, I'd say it's a full size studio at that point.
Yeah.
And then with the capability that UE provides for UE5 for multiple people to be working at the same time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
the reason I brought it up is because even talking about it not being until 2024 or 2025, that's still pretty good development window, considering
Indeed.
they started with such a little crew. And they made midway through, they made an engine switch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Essentially. They just back in January, I believe, but by January switched over. So that's 6 months ago. They just swapped over.
I think it's still in a good schedule.
Yeah, I feel like some people who join in after don't know or forget that they started with 6 people, roughly. So it's not Blizzard making a company or Dissidia or any of those other bigger companies that already have a team of people working on stuff. This is completely indie. But yeah, they also had to figure out some things out. There's the problem with the
entire back-end rebuild.
Back-end, yeah, it was crazy. I mean, a lot of us were really sad because we're like, oh man, APOC is down, and we don't know when it's coming back up or if it's coming back up. And they're like, yeah, sorry. We've been working on the back end a lot of stuff, and yeah, so they just had to redo all of that. But
remember those days way back when people were sad that APOC was down?
Yeah. Well, now we're sad because Alpha 1 is down and we just want to play with it. But yes, COVID also was a thing. That's when all of the people in the company had to go and work from home individually, and they didn't have the ability just to walk over to Joe Schmo and be like, what you got?
That put a big old hamper in delay, I'm sure.
That's what I only knew about that. I wasn't around for the back end rebuild or anything. I came on pretty late.
Yeah.
So, but I've been telling people that are come into my chat or comment on YouTube. They're like, oh, this game looks great, but will it be good when it finally comes out? And I'm like, you do realize it just seems like a long wait because we're actually behind the scenes of the development. You're
in the process of the waiting. Yeah.
Usually we don't see anything until 6 months before the beta drops.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah. But speaking of things and updating, I am so very excited by this one. They just dropped yesterday the new Pyre models that have been revised. Oh my god.
So good.
They look so good. Oh my gosh. Seriously, that Pyre girl, goals for my gym workouts, just saying. I was like, I gotta do that. It is so pretty.
My dude's got an 8-pack. An 8-pack.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing.
He's an elf, that's why. They have one extra pack.
Oh, that's right. That's
one
fair.
extra pack.
I'm good with the 6 if I can even get that far.
Dwarves
can only get a 4-pack. It's like a keg.
A keg pack. Her belly button is placed wrong. I don't know. I feel like they probably know where to put it.
One
I don't know.
would hope.
I don't know.
At their age, they should know where to put it.
Yeah, at their age, they should know. Oh, here we go. Bam. There he is.
There it is. Okay, cool. I'm a little bit delayed. I'm looking at the stream to see it, but it's so high definition. It's so pretty.
It is. Her face paint looks like somebody I've seen before. I
love the way the horns look.
I wonder who it is.
I love the antlers.
Possibly.
Yeah, seriously, there's a whole extra pack up there. I thought that was just jesting, but no, it's right there. It's right there.
Yep.
And then I loved the one comment on this one, which was the, I can't get past the toenails. Yeah, it looks like it needs some wood polish.
But yeah, no, I'm really enjoying this. It's all about log lifting to build their houses, right?
Fair enough.
But yeah, so those are the big official things. The rest of the stuff I have is fan focus and then a really big announcement from Z at the end of it. But is this game ever actually releasing? Yes,
Never.
eventually. Never. No, sorry.
Never.
We threw our money into a fire pit. So
I did. I hate money. I try to get rid of all of it every time I can.
Just that scene from Batman where the Joker burns the whole pile of money.
right. I mean, it's in development. You know, it takes a while. It's actually being built. I know in this world of instant gratification in this day and age, patience is hard. We have to teach that to the 6-year-old. But
Yes, we do. She is very impatient. Oh my lordy.
I went to get like a hot chocolate with her, and she's like, "Why isn't it done yet?" I'm like, "We haven't even ordered." But why do we have to wait in line? Because that's how lines work. Like,
I'm
there's
a 5-year-old, so yes.
yeah, there's just world of like, I mean, especially in today's day and age with the technology we have, it's instant gratification. You get it immediately. If you have to wait 5 seconds for the internet connection, this internet is crap. If you have to wait X amount of time on the phone, then that company is not very good. Like, it's just instant gratification is what we kind of been built around. And so yeah, I get it. It's hard waiting for an MMO. I mean, we've backed it. Vertec and I have backed it since 2017. Oh, and you had to wait 4 seconds to click skip ad, right? Yeah, exactly.
Sometimes
so
it's 5. Okay, sometimes it's 5.
Save a
Those are the
clip.
worst.
But we've been backing this since 2017. So like we are in thick, we are in deep. We know exactly what it feels like to wait through like half a year of no content update.
Yeah,
or
we're also
information.
currently, like for time perspective, I only know of a AAA game. The shortest time period I've heard of somebody saying, and I didn't even research it, was like 5 years that it took for a AAA game to go from starting to create to release. But that was from a AAA studio that was already established and had a team. They were like, all right, you X amount of people, the 100 and something people, go over to the other side of the building, and you're now working on this other project.
Mm-hmm.
And go. And they started the stopwatch, and 5 years later it's made. But they didn't have to deal with, again, starting with 6 people, building the team up from that, from all over the place, holding, interviews the entire time. And then, not a AAA MMO. I mean, that just adds to it. That adds to the complexity.
Right.
But
Not to mention the stigma of having to fight that stigma of kickstarted MMOs.
Right.
yeah,
Exactly.
And then
We
COVID,
went through pretty bad.
and having to move out of the office and then moving back into the office
And moving
doing
to a
an
new
actual-
office.
Yeah. And then changing an engine along the way. There's a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We already listed it. No reason to keep listing it more. But
Yeah.
they're already currently hitting, or they're only currently hitting, I should say, the 5-year mark right now.
Yeah.
Like right now.
Literally.
Like the summer Kickstarter was going still, or the summer funding period right after the Kickstarter was still going right now 5 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And that was before they hired more than the 6th person on the team.
5 years ago, Vertec and I were playing Pathfinder
Yeah.
in a server.
With a
Well,
guild of people formed around a Kickstarter for a game.
Yep. That's actually how I met Vertec. And now we are wedded.
It's true.
So you could wed in Ashes of Creation because of their RP stuff.
See?
Mhm.
See? It all ties back in. It all ties back in.
That was actually a cosmetic pack that caught me off guard. I didn't expect them to come out with a groom and variety cosmetic pack.
Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
From here, I just have some art pieces. There was a Fan Friday that was given by Abram David.
Let me see.
Abraham David.
Oh my goodness, that one, yeah.
Yeah, it's so pretty.
Let me pull this one up here.
I'm going to give you guys the forum commission link instead of the official Fan Friday link. Just because so you can see like how pretty it is. So it was a commission done by Abraham David, and this piece is of Violet Corprinus's Empyrean OC. Salamirian and her sister Sibaya, played by a friend, atop their mounts as they explored the world of Vera.
So
Yeah,
right off the
that's-
bat, they both have to be mayors, right?
Right,
They have
because
flying.
you have flying mounts. So yeah,
Or the leaders
Um,
of guilds that have the guild castles.
right,
The
right.
PvP
Or
castles.
That is gorgeous.
maybe they're
Maybe the-
just floating backwards.
Yeah,
Like,
so-
wee.
This mount doesn't glide forwards; they only
No.
glide backwards.
gliding
Yeah.
backwards. Yeah, that's why the bird's looking backwards right now. That's why the griffin's
Yeah.
looking backwards, trying to watch
Yeah.
where they go.
It's my new,
So
it's my new
bump their
guild
bum.
name.
Yep.
Only gliding backwards.
Only gliding backwards.
Griffins glide backwards.
And then my bro Fiero, I think is how you say this person's name, posted a nice little meme for Meme Monday, talking about teamwork with ashes. And it's kind of like the Knights of the Round Table kind of viewing, where everybody's putting their swords in the middle and it's all the different parts. Oh my god.
Oh my goodness, did I not? Let me get that one opened up. I didn't even open that one. My
Oh.
goodness.
Sorry.
My goodness. Oh no, that's me being a slacker. That's all.
I bought that Steed of Soaring Scarlet for a gliding mount. Yeah, I'm so excited. I honestly would love to get my character done, but I'm waiting for the character creator to come out so that I can actually make my character. I have an idea, but I'm very much looking forward to physically being able to like mess with the settings and everything. Oh my god.
There we go.
Ending
That's a
as
good
we
one.
started.
How about your steed? What kind of mount will you have?
That is a really good one. I like that.
Yeah, no, it's really nice. And then the final art piece that I wanted to share was this wonderful thing that Z made.
I don't like
Z's
how you
made-
just phrased that.
What?
This wonderful thing. Oh wait,
Yeah.
yeah, you're actually talking about the that one and not the potato.
Yes, not the
little
potato.
Okay.
potato baby.
Yeah, there's the. She made the Demon Potato Baby too. Let me actually grab it. This is, I mean, that's the little thumbnail that you see when you hover over this link. But this is her little thread of creations. But this thing in particular is like a really nice mount that we've seen before, and I can't quite tell what this is on. That's the only problem I'm having.
That is like cross stitch.
That's what
So
I was
it's like that-
thinking.
Yeah, the interweave fabric where you just you literally make X's across little
Okay.
portions of the fabric.
Yeah.
Which mount?
I don't remember what the
The
mount
one that
was
looks
called.
like Falcor?
His name is Frank.
Oh
Frank
no,
is
it's the lizard one. The
Oh.
one that looks like Falcor, I think that's just a pet. But this one has barding and everything.
Oh,
Cross
yes,
stitch,
that
yeah.
is-
There it is.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's really nice. And I'll leave this up for a minute, but I wanted to bring attention for Z to everyone. I'm going to read this out just so that way when Vertec chooses to put it up,
Ooh.
you don't have to read everything. Yes?
Ooh, wait.
Okay, waiting.
Is she preggers? Is that it?
A Z Preggers?
Yeah. Is that it? Is that it?
I don't know. This one's called Community Project Time, so I don't think so.
That's a different kind of pregnant. I don't know if you know.
Whoa. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I figured it was
so-
time we turn the tables.
Z says, I have decided to try and get another community project up and running. This time, we will be going big and have figured out we will need 1,613 people to get this project finished. I'll be gathering names of people who are interested, and once we have enough, this could take a while, I will contact everyone with what I will need from you. This project will be super easy on your part. No art skills or thinking is required. Message me on Discord, and she has her Discord tag there, with the words hands, so I know you wish to be added to the list of people taking part. Please pass this on to as many people interested in the Ashes Creation community as possible, or interested in Ashes of Creation as possible. Much love, Z. So, big community project. Z, do you know roughly how many people you have at this moment for this? My ears trying to pop.
Where's that link exactly?
I have it on Reddit, but here's the link specifically. I'm gonna put it straight to you. 308. Nice. This is the link straight to the image, so you can grab that if that is what would help.
That would.
So, we can do it with less. Okay, gotcha. So, we are 308 out of 1,613. I'm very curious to see what this project is. If you guys are interested in doing this, you can find her as well in our Discord. She's actually the moderator of our Discord too. So, and well, our chat, as you can see by the little sword icon.
By the sword.
But can I change the color of the sword with my die pack?
That's a good question.
But I felt like this was a great way to leave this off. While you guys are looking at this and considering it, I did want to first post is that it will not be sinister. Kind of a turnoff. I think it should be. It's going to be a mosaic, nothing sinister, is what Z says.
Okay, can I unraise my hand? Because I was in for sinister.
Thank you for shouting out. Of course, Z. And so while you guys are thinking about this and looking at this, I would like to make a couple of announcements. The first is that we have found somebody who is very sweet and very helpful, and we might be getting our old podcast episodes back up and going. So we're finally able to get the help with the a little bit of editing that we desperately need. So that's an exciting thing. We'll be caught up on our YouTube soon here. And then we are currently working with the artist. They're saying that the last little bit of the animation for this emote is going to take a little bit because it's a little bit difficult to animate, apparently. So we did ask for the files to the ones that are done. So hopefully we can get those up there soon for you guys. And there's a couple of other things in the work with community members and non-community members, which I'm not ready to share at this point, but Vertec and I have been talking a lot about it lately, and we have a lot of, it has to do with the refresh. Party of 5, horrendous. I wish. But yeah, we're pretty excited to be able to get things moving. And I will say, definitely by October, November, we will be almost a whole new kind of podcast, if you will. And that I will leave for you to theorycraft.
Yeah, there's so many things that are going to be changing. Big ol' update.
Yes. But that is all on our end. And the biggest, most important thing is we have a meatloaf here who makes media on RPs.
True. That's the rumor, and I believe
what
all
a
rumors.
segue. What a segue.
Do you have any fun words for the viewers here? Things you'd like to share? Things you'd like to tell people about? Projects coming up? Social medias?
So really the goal that I have for my YouTube channel is that we're going to go through all 64 archetypes and create 2 characters for each archetype, just to highlight how people can play the same archetype in 2 drastically different ways. There's long form videos that are just me rambling about like backstory and things that may not interest you. And then I make short videos, little like 2.5 to 4 minute videos that are a lot easier to take in. And it just kind of highlights the character creation session. I've been having a lot of fun with that. I've also been like helping people or having people tweet me on Twitter, like vague sentences, and then I make a character around that. So that's really all it is. And I'm doing like usually I do like 2 to 3 videos every other week, just because I don't want to burn out since we are in the long burn. You know, we're talking about 2025, 2024 before we really dig into it. So that's what I do on there. I have a lot of fun doing it. So you can always come in. Sometimes I stream it while I'm on Twitch. So you guys can come in and check me out there too. But more than that, I have had a blast just being able to talk with like-minded people about Ashes. So I appreciate you guys having me on.
No problem. And I'm glad that you were so eager and welcoming of coming on so last minute. But yeah, Vertec had actually seen you a while back, and I think we discussed very briefly. And then I saw your name and it was something familiar about it. And I was like, whoa, RP stuff. And then especially, whoa, pirate RP stuff. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Heck yes.
Well, I will have to say that we definitely appreciate you stopping by and joining us and sharing all of your lovely insights. Definitely had fun.
Yes.
Fantastic.
So, this is now viewer's choice moment.
Dun, dun, dun.
Or Meatloaf, since you're our guest, you could totally make a pick if you choose.
Okay.
We have a choice of 2 friends we could go to raid. One of them is Tech Deck 22. Looks like he is lost arcing. MH Rise later? Question mark. But he's doing some kind of, I don't know. He's doodling on his stream right now. But I think he's playing Lost Ark in the interim. Or then we have Kale and Faye, who are playing Final Fantasy XIV. I do believe that's another husband-wife combo.
Oh gosh, Ashes.
Oh.
I'm going to have to go with... we might as well just go right into the combo. Right on the MMO streak, right?
All right.
Yeah, well, hey,
that works.
I'll
get that going.
All right, thank you. Appreciate you.
Accidentally disconnect.
Oh no, don't do it. But yeah, thank you everybody for stopping by and hanging out with us. We appreciate you. Every single thing you do for us and with us, like typing anything in the chat is awesome and amazing, and we love it. We love to see what you have to think. We love to see your questions. We love to see your questions about our guest and questioning our tasting guest, because you know sometimes we bring questionable people on that do stuff like RP. Those weirdos.
Yeah. Oh my god.
But we love you all. You could have been anywhere shopping for grills and meat. But you're here instead talking with us about grilling meat. Right? That's what we're talking about? Anyway, love you all. Love you all. Chibi?